everyone. Welcome, welcome. This is such a great, happy occasion for us to be here for the formal dedication of our ballroom to be the Pat O'Neill Ballroom. This is a special moment, truly, 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 truly. All of you in this room, because we are connected to Pat in some ways, and we all have been deeply impacted by her good work on the Board of Education and her service to our communities. In her 23 years of service to the Board of Education, Pat was a champion for many things: effective governance, equitable access, and most importantly, the opportunities for students to pursue their interests and elevate their talents. So as the president of the Board of Education, I'm Julie Yang. So we are so happy to be here to be doing this. And I have my colleagues here. I want to introduce my colleague. Where is Grace first? My VP. Grace is in the building. She's here. She's here. She will appear. And then there's my colleague, Carla Sylvester, right here. And my colleague, Laura Stewart, Natalie Zimmerman, Brenda Wolf, and Rita Montoya. Yeah. Now, Pat is extremely student-focused, student-first. So in that spirit, let's start this afternoon's program first with some music performance from students from Wooten High School, Arjun and Nicholas. Would you please come forward? Let's enjoy their performance first. you have another one? From Wooten and Einstein High School. Thank you, gentlemen. Well done, well done. At this time, I think Grace appears. Grace Rivera Ovens, right here, right here. All right, all right, all right. I would like to at this time recognize today there's a lot of elected officials in the room and also former colleagues of Pat in the room. I would like to recognize them. Let me start with former colleagues of Pat. Shepard Evans, Mike Durso, and sitting next to him, Alan Chung, Dr. Alan Chung, and Matt Post, and there is Rebecca Smodrowski. I think I saw her. Yes. Okay. Phil Kaufman, Shirley Brandman, and David Naiman. David, yes, that's we also have here with us a former county executive, I Leggett. And we have also a county council member, Sidney Cass, and council member Andrew Friesen. From the state level, I know we have Senator Nancy King and Delegate Greg Wims. Right. We also have some longtime MCPS employee here with us today, and one of them is Mr. Larry Bowers. And on behalf of Dr. Jerry Weiss, we have Susie Pang Meth. I'm sure today everyone would like to know who's our current superintendent of the schools, right? And that's Dr. Thomas Taylor. Did I miss anyone? All right. Okay. So, terrific. So, I'm actually serving on the Board of Education, District 3. That's the seat that Pat used to serve on. And I know Pat, I met Pat 2016 when a school system was doing a matters report. That's when I first met Pat. And there were a lot of great ideas and different voices in the communities about how to do our programmings. And what I took away from the work with Pat is that whether she agrees or disagrees with you, she always values your voice. And she always finds a way for you to have your voice be heard. So she was the one that said, you know what? We have a Latino Student Achievement Action Group. We have an African American Student Achievement Action Group. Let's do an Asian American Student Pacific Islander Student Achievement Group. So she was extraordinary in that sense to be inclusive, to include everyone's voice in our democratic process of how to make the system a better place for all. And I also took away from my work with her of how much she is accessible. We have her phone number. We can call her. And when we call her, she'll say, this is an issue that really is interesting, and you should talk to this. And she will mention community members that's working on this issue. Might be on different sides of the issue or from different angle working on the same issue. And at that time, I always feel that that is the way to connect all of us together, to be one family of the MCPS family. So do you know that she has been, take a guess, how many times president in her 22 years of serving the Board of Education? How many times was she the president of the Board of Education? 5 times. How many times was she the vice president of the Board of Education? 6 times. She really had a tremendous impact and leadership role. And also, she was also the longtime chair of our policy management committee, and she made sure like policy doesn't just stay in a binder. They reflect our values, our hopes, our commitments. And she deeply, deeply believed in expanding access, opportunity, equity for every student. So, and she worked with, I think my colleague Brenda and Carla also worked with her on the board, and they will share more. But what I took away from my conversation was that I know that she made phone calls to everyone early in the morning to get their work done. All right, so so today as we dedicate this room, a place where decision that is continue to be made every single day to shape the future of our schools, we honor Pat's legacy that has touched the lives of thousands. It's hard to think of a more fitting tribute for someone who spent so much of her life shaping the future with care, conviction, and unshakable belief in the promise of public education. And on that note, I think we all understand right now the public education is under debate in a ways that sometimes is disheartening to our community. So it's really important that we see that she is a champion for public education. And it is my profound honor of my life to serve on the seat that she once led and once held. And every day I carry that responsibility really like seriously and diligently, because I know that she has set the bar so very high. All right, so thank you all for being here today. And I'm going to invite, I also see Delegate Teresa Warman just walk in. Yeah, thank you for being here. Okay, all right. And then, I want to invite my colleague Brenda Wolf to come up and say a few words about Pat. Okay.
Well, I think that Julie took a lot of my speech, so I can cut this a little bit short. But, you know, it is an incredible honor to speak to you tonight about Pat O'Neill. Pat, as Julie said, she would call me almost every morning. I'm sure if you've ever heard me talk about her, you've heard me tell this story before. She would call Nancy King, then she would call Judy Docker, and then she would call me. And it would be 7 o'clock when she got to me. So, you know, she started early. But I can say, being a new board member at the time, it was very helpful because she always kept my eye on the North Star. So I had the honor of serving with her from 2018 until her death in 2021. In fact, I talked to her about an hour before she died. She was getting ready for a policy meeting. I've never forgotten that. She said, I've got to get off the phone now because we got a policy meeting at 2. And the next call I got was from the board about what had happened. If I could get through my speech today, it'll be amazing to me because that's how close I felt to Pat at the time. So she did love this school system with her whole heart. She constantly reminded me that the board decides what needs to be done, but the superintendent and the system decides how it's going to be done. And that's very important when you're working on a board with 8 different people. There are 8 of us, and you've got 8 different personalities because people tend to want what they want. But to get anything done, she would remind us, we need to decide what's important and let the superintendent tell us how he's going to make that happen. She was a true servant leader. She never sought the spotlight. But if you look at the video that's flashing, you will recognize all the honors that she's had. One that you don't even see in this is that Pat is the only, I believe, Montgomery County person that was the past president of the Maryland Association of School Boards. I think I'm right about that. I know she often said to me, "You should consider that." And I said, no, thank you. But her voice brought clarity to the board. Her questions made us think harder. Her presence made us all stronger. So tonight we dedicate this room in her name, but her real legacy lives in each of us who were lucky enough to work with her, to know her, and to be guided by her. It lives in every student who was lifted by a decision she helped shape. And in 20 some odd years, you know she shaped many decisions. It lives in every policy that put equity and opportunity on the forefront. Her legacy calls on us to lead with compassion and act with purpose for every student, every day. From the first gavel to the last vote, Pat O'Neill served with integrity, with courage, and with heart. And I hope we're making her proud.
I'm inviting my colleague Carla Silvestri to come out to say a few words.
Thank you for the opportunity to say a few words today about the great work of Pat O'Neill. Thinking about her and her service makes me reflect on the work of the Board of Education member. It is such an example of democracy in action. Do-gooders in our community who volunteer, who advocate for schools and children, step up, throw their hats in the ring to lead systems, to get involved in policy making, to approve budgets, to hire superintendents, approve curriculum. Day in and day out, countless hours of work and dedication to our students, to our community. And this is the job that Pat O'Neill did so well for how many years? 23 years? This was her life. This was her passion. She used to say that she loved serving on the board every single minute. And then people would chuckle like, yeah, you don't really mean every single minute. But and she would chuckle as well because she was like, all right, well, maybe not every single minute. But I met Pat while we were campaigning because we were on the same cycle. So in 2018, I got to know her. For those of you that have campaigned, you know it's every night. So every night we would be at an event together, Brenda as well, in 2018. And that's when I had the opportunity to get to know her. And she was so gracious, helping me out. She didn't have to help me out. We were just candidates at the time, but she was very gracious in helping me out. And I really got to know her on the campaign trail. So when I did get elected, she was sitting across the table, the round table from me, and she became a role model for me to emulate, to learn from. This is how you did the Board of Education member job, and I got to see the kind of questions she asked, how she treated her colleagues, how she treated the staff, and her dedication. I mean, someone that can do this for 23 years really deserves her name on a boardroom for posterity, for sure. The student members of the board used to joke that, Pat, you've been on this board longer than we've been alive. And it was true, of course. They're all like 17-year-olds, and she was on her 20th, 21, 22nd, 23rd year on the board. So I just want to thank the family for lending her to us, but I know this was her life's passion. This was what she wanted to be doing. And I am privileged and thankful that I had the opportunity to serve on the board with her for a few years, to learn from her. I hope that I can pay it forward as well for the future. And it's wonderful that the great work of this school system continues, and it will be in the Pat O'Neill boardroom. So thank you so much.
Next, I want to invite our superintendent to come and say a few words.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's such a privilege to join you this evening and to be back in Montgomery County. I grew up in Montgomery County, but went away just as Pat was joining the Board of Education. But it is a privilege to be here because the legacy that Pat left is omnipresent. And just as was said earlier, it's present in the people that are here today. The folks who have served in office, the folks who have served in the school system, and the folks who have served on the Board of Education all carry with them a piece of Pat that has helped to inform the role and the work that they do today. Now, I'm amongst friends, so I can say some friendly things right now. Being on the Board of Education is a tough job. Being on the Board of Education for a year is a tough thing to do. Doing it for more than 1 year, let alone 20, it really is a struggle. Being on the Board of Education in a media-rich, engaged environment such as ours only complicates the task that's at hand. But as Carla so eloquently put, I mean, it really is a magnificent role and a way for us to see our community thrive. And seeing board member colleagues that Pat has served with in a number of capacities and folks who are stepping into that role and that legacy or had the opportunity to work with her as a staff member, it is so important, the role of the Board of Education, and it is a thankless job. So the opportunity for us to pause and give thanks to somebody who is clearly so impactful really is important for our school system as we continue to get better each and every day. All right, so I have a very important job. My very important job is to actually introduce our family representative speaker, none other than Rick O'Neill. But before he comes up, I do need to say that even though I didn't know Pat, I do know Rick. And I've had the opportunity to get to know Rick, and I'm proud that I get to call him a friend, getting to know him over this past year. And I have a funny feeling that Pat's values and Rick's values were so tightly interwoven, and seeing Rick's generosity upfront and personal, his great sense of humor, his kind and warm and embracing spirit, I hope that is just the mirror reflection of Pat in the world today. It is a privilege for my team to be here today, to be with you and your family, and to be with the many folks that are here today to celebrate Pat's legacy. And I just want to thank you for your friendship, and I want to thank you for being a great steward of this legacy and for staying engaged and being a part of this. And this is the part where I joke about Rick's one really significant character flaw, which is that he graduated from Walter Johnson and not BCC. But I can't joke about it too bad because that's also where Pat went. So with that being said, I'd like to invite Rick O'Neill to come up and give some remarks on behalf of the family and to thank you personally for carrying this legacy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. What a great... Thank you for those wonderful comments. And yes, we both did graduate from Walter Johnson. That was probably one of my best decisions, and I'm sure my best decision ever. We were graduating in 1968. Our student class was approximately 800 students, the senior class, which you can see why they had to open another high school. In any event, we were both graduating. I'd heard of Pat, but I had not known Pat. But at graduation, we were going to the same college. I thought, well, it'd be appropriate for me to give her a call, invite her to graduation, which I did. Best decision I ever made. Absolutely. Just fantastic. Now, this is just such a beautiful and special tribute to Pat. She would just be thrilled. She'd probably be, as we said, she'd probably be embarrassed at all the attention, but just terrific, just really wonderful. I often made the comment that she spent so much time at the old Board of Education room at Carver that the school system should charge her rent. It's just absolutely incredible. In any event, I would like to just thank all of the Board of Education members throughout the years, all of Pat's friends that have shown up here. It's just amazing. what a great group of people. She would just be thrilled. It's just, and when I saw the plaque, I don't know if you all got to see the plaque outside. Just it makes me cry. I mean, really, just wonderful. Just so very, very nice. She did. I don't think she regarded the Board of Education as work at all. She loved it. She loved all of her colleagues. She just could not get enough of it. And she loved the children. And it was all of the children. In fact, she often commented that she may actually have gotten, Julie, more votes in other parts of the county than in District 3, which is interesting. But it is and the other thing is, we know that the school board members, they don't run in a particular district. They run county-wide. And oh my God, is it a big county? I found that out putting out signs. It's just a task I loved, you know. In any event, just want to thank all of the school, the MCPS family, all of the board members, current, past, et cetera, and so many. We've lost several of our wonderful former board members. And Pat even enjoyed working with the county council, the state delegation. I mean, it's, oh my goodness. And I should also, I want a personal note, and that is daughter Jenny, daughter Melissa. Melissa is not here. She's over in London, where she has 2 children. The 3-month-old probably keeps her there as opposed to here. Pat's sister Carolyn, Carolyn's husband, the entire family has gone to MCPS, so reflects very nicely. Walter Johnson, we're sorry to say. Anyhow, it's just great. And indeed, my sister, who's out in Denver now, was a school teacher for many, many years. Another Walter Johnson graduate. So it's just, yeah, Moo. That's right. That's exactly right. I know. When I went to Walter Johnson, I won't say anything about when Carolyn went, but when I went to Walter Johnson, oh my God, there were cows grazing where the Marriott building was. So, you know, right, Tom? We know that. In any event, I just want to thank everybody, and I should say, Arjun and Nicholas, what a wonderful performance by them. That was really so nice. Give them a big hand. Thanks again for sharing this wonderful honor, just an unbelievable honor. Great, and for Pat's legacy, just fabulous. And again, she really did love the children, love the school board, love the system. She just could not get enough of it, and really never regarded it as work. I know she would come home exhausted, but she never really regarded it as work, so, which is very wonderful. I guess that's the way to cherish what you do. Thank you all again very, very much. Really appreciate it. Thank you for such, one final thing, thank you for such wonderful comments, Brenda and Julie and Carla. Oh my goodness, just wonderful.
Wait, Rick.
Uh-oh.
We have something special for you.
We have something.
We have some. This is the resolution the board unanimous passed, and we would like to give you a copy as a keepsake.
Fantastic.
I was very proud to bring it to the board and to honor Pat's legacy.
And Brenda had read this at the board. This is so fabulous. Just wonderful.
So I'm going to invite my board members to come up, and let's take a picture together with Rick. And then I'm going to open the mic to the audience, and then if you would like to share something, we have an open mic period for everyone. So can I invite the board members to come up?
Well, this is fantastic. Isn't it great?
mic is open. If anyone has anything to share. Senator, please.
You know that we never pass up a microphone. I would just like to thank everyone for being here tonight. You know, Pat and I, as so many others have said, we're really best friends. And we talked on the phone every single morning. And sometimes it would be really early in the morning, and I could hear Jenny in the background saying, "What is she calling the morning for?" And we did that a lot. And we discussed everything there was to discuss. We hashed things over a lot. And then I went on to the legislature, and since I've been there, I've been an education chair of some sort. And whenever we were doing something that wasn't quite right, I would really hear about it. But it helped me to shape what we were doing in Annapolis. And I miss having her to bounce things off and to get the ideas from her. That's what I've missed the most since I lost Pat is having her to bounce my ideas off of and to listen to the Board of Education's point of view, because sometimes we're a little different on that kind of thing. So, but I've still had some members here that I still track down and get their opinions on, so that all works. And the only funny thing I was thinking about with Pat being on the board for 23 years, all she wanted to do was be on there longer than Blair Ewing. And she did it. So, thank you.
Good afternoon. My relationship with Pat goes back a long, long ways. And as I'm hearing all of these wonderful comments, and I agree with them, there is a tendency to believe that Pat was not tough. I saw all of those nice things that everybody's talking about. But up close and personal, it wasn't County Executive Leggett, think about doing this. It was Ike, you need to do this. You made a mistake on that. And it was always very informative. She'd done her homework. She knew the budget probably better than I did. And I'm presenting my own budget, and she knows it very well. And so it was that tenacity, that strength, that knowledge, that wisdom, to be so informative. And so when we think about her, certainly there's the pleasant things that we've talked about today, but behind the scene, she knew how to get things done. And she knew how to hold people accountable for what they needed to do. That combination of strength, knowledge, wisdom, and that personal persona of what you say publicly, but also how to hold a county executive accountable for what I needed to do related to education. That's the Pat O'Neill that I know. And when we look around this county, we see all the great things that we've accomplished over the years. We have to think about her role in all of this. The superintendent mentioned the number of years, but to serve in that capacity for so long and to be highly respected and loved after that entire process is not something easy to accomplish. She accomplished that and much more. And so I'm here to acknowledge my relationship with her, the work that we've accomplished together, but to let you know that we had a very, very strong, competent, very informative person who helped to lead and to shape this entire county. And so when we look at it today, this recognition is well-deserved because of her contributions, not just to the Board of Education for Education, but to Montgomery County in general. Thank you.
All right, I obviously have learned nothing in 7 years on the county council than to follow Ike Leggett. So I'm working on it. Sidney told me, he whispered, he said, no. I said, yeah. But I'm Andrew Friedson. I serve on the county council. And I got to work with Pat up close. And when I think of her, I think of compassion, I think of commitment, and I think of conviction. I think of somebody who was compassionate in the fact that she always thought about children. Every conversation I ever had with her was always centered around the kids. She would repeatedly say it each and every time. I know every time she went in and talked with County Executive Leggett, she was talking about the children. She was explaining what needed to happen to make sure that no child was forgotten, no child was left behind, no child missed out on an opportunity that they deserved in Montgomery County Public Schools. I think of her as somebody who was more committed to this work on this board for our school system than any person in any role that I think I have ever seen. It was unbelievable. This is no school board member believes it's a part-time job, but Pat took that to a level that I don't know that I have ever seen in any role that anybody has served in. It was really unbelievable. Preparation, as County Executive Leggett noted, there was not a conversation that she didn't come to prepared, and it wasn't even that she prepared for the meeting. It was that she was continuously doing so much work that no matter what conversation you had, what question you might bring up, she was ready with an answer to the question. And because of the depth of her knowledge, she was just a resource for so many people, a resource for me, a resource for so many people in county government, a resource for her fellow board members. She was the dean, not because she was the most likable and easiest person to deal with. She was the dean in many ways because of how much value she provided in the breadth of her knowledge and her work. And it's just really amazing. I really learned a lot from her, especially as well as a new district county council member, in understanding the balance between how do you represent effectively the district that elected you and the county as a whole. And in the school system, that is a real challenge. And she threaded that needle and balanced that in the most remarkable way. And I always admired her for it, and I always sought her advice for it. And I just really appreciate and I miss her, like so many people in this room do, like Rick, I know you do, Nancy and Brenda and others who miss those morning phone calls that I always heard about. And sometimes I heard about the call that had just happened. Nancy will call me and say, I just talked to Pat, and let me tell you what needs to happen. But this is such a fitting tribute to somebody who dedicated so much, and not just in what she did and how long she did it, but in how she did it. And I hope all of us can emulate that level of service for all of us who are lucky enough to be in the roles that we're in, to live up to the standard that she set for us. That's what our residents expect of us. That's what Pat demanded of us, sometimes nicer than others, sometimes more direct than others, but it was because of the children, it was because of the expectations, it was because of the work that we're all called on to do. And I hope to be able to live up to that, and I hope that her name on this room will ensure that everybody who walks through these doors will live up to that standard, and all of us who are lucky enough to serve in these roles will live up to her standard as well. So Rick, we miss her like you do. We love her, and we just hope to live up to a standard that she always held us up to while she was here. So thank you so much.
There's very little that I can add to the beautiful things that have been said, but I just wanted to add some gratitude. Like many of you, I had the pleasure of having Pat as a mentor. She brought, many of us would refer to her as the walking institutional memory, because you could go to Pat to understand not just when did this policy, when was it enacted, but why? What do we need to know? What do we need to understand? But she came at that then when all of us arrived new with 1,000 ideas that we thought no one had ever thought of before. She had the grace to ease us along and say, well, that's interesting. you may want to consider and help to guide us and shape us, but always in the spirit of support and being invested in our success. I did not always get the 7 o'clock in the morning phone calls, but I did have the pleasure of commuting with Pat because we had the honor of living across the street from each other. So he's not just a colleague on the board, but a neighbor. And on those drives, before and after votes, we would have a lot of time to really solidify where we were going, what needed to be done, and with Pat's constant North Star, keeping our eye on the children. We had many occasions in this work to be in various ceremonies when we had the opportunity to address communities and give them thoughts and wishes. Two things have always stuck with me. One is Pat so frequently reminding us that children are the gift that we give to the future and that we need to take care to give them all the opportunity and resources they need so they can thrive. And also, I just need to dial this back. I'm not the best with technology, so bear with me. I had this right in front of me. There was not, you may guess that I am not of Irish descent, but there was something I would hear Pat say all the time that stuck with me as she was sending us off into the world. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. The rains fall soft upon your fields until we meet again. And may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Pat's wish to us that we, of course, all wish for her.
Great to see everyone. So I was doing good until Shirley read that poem at the end, right? I'd be remiss if I sat there and didn't say anything about Pat O'Neill. She was such a great colleague. When I think of Pat, I think about she knew the way, she would go the way, but most importantly, she would show the way. She led with her head and her heart. So her head, as many of you all heard, she just had the facts, she had the data. If I could not pull up something quick enough, instead of calling Lana, because Lana knows just as much as Pat, I would call Pat and she could tell you quickly what it was that transpired years ago. Her heart, she always thought of Jenny and Melissa. She would use her own kids to guide her in this work, as well as her grandkids too. And so Rick, he is just fabulous, a great helpmate with Pat. Always there, always supportive, and whatever you needed, he was there as well. So I will say it again. Thank you for loaning your wife to us. Thank you, Jenny. I see you there. I haven't seen you in so long. Good to see you. Your mother was great. And I'll just leave with, I said this before. I know many of you may be familiar. I hope you are with Cheers. And you know Norm? That's Pat. Everybody knows her name, and you're just glad because you were able to be in her presence. So with that, I'll just say thank you, and this is such a beautiful dedication, and I really appreciate having had the opportunity to work with her for so many years.
I think, like all Pat's colleagues, I was a mentee of Pat. But particularly when it came to young people and the student member on the board, you would be forgiven for thinking after several decades on the Board of Education that you would sort of know what you're doing and begin to tune out other voices. But Pat never stopped listening. I mean, distinctly on the board, a concern for student voice, what young people felt, what the largest group of stakeholders in MCPS wanted and wished. And she took those values, those desires, and put it into her work. And I saw that on a policymaking side. I saw that on a personal side. The way that Pat would give me, and I know other student members, counsel and advice on the board, and when we departed the board, going through life. And there have been, since her passing, junctures in my life where I've had that instinct to pick up the phone and call Pat. And it's a tremendous loss that we can't do that anymore. But I know, as it has been said, that her advice and counsel and instincts live on in some ways in me and all her colleagues that she served with, all the students who she touched, the students who get to benefit from the lower class sizes that she fought for the new Seneca Valley, that she pushed for the language immersion programs that she advocated for. And I think she would get a real kick out of getting to live through the continued work of this board explicitly through the name on the plaque. So what a joy and honor to have known and worked with Pat.
Well, now that one of my 47 successors has spoken, first I want to say that I'm a Northwood grad, but the only one to have served as the SMOB. I'm also known as the father SMOB, as being the first SMOB. But my son went to Walter Johnson. So I wanted to say that. Before Andrew Friedson was born, but before Nancy King served on the school board, I was on the board. I was on the board for Blair Ewing's first term. And I was very fortunate in that I had friends and mentors of all ages, and still do. The sad part is that they pass away. But the happy part is that you got to spend a good portion of your life with them. And I just wanted to underscore what we've heard today, which is that Pat was a mentor to such a range of people, ranging from the student members of the board who weren't born, when she started on the board, to essentially all of her colleagues, including, I'm sure, some who were older than she was. As one who's benefited from those kinds of relationships, I just wanted to acknowledge that. I think that in addition to her legacy of all the things she accomplished for the school system, all of those people who she affected, everything they do from now on, that is part of her legacy. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for those warm and touching remarks. Rick, she was incredible. You have an incredible sister. You have an incredible mother. And at this time, I would like to invite all of you to enjoy a little bit refreshment outside what is now officially the Pat O'Neill Board of Education Auditorium. Thank you, everyone.